I have to touch on this because it's just horrific to see and really unfortunate. Patrik Laine goes down with an injury in Montreal's 2-1 loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's just one of those scenarios that you really don't want to see. Patrik Laine deserves so much better than this. He has worked through so many different things to get himself back into the NHL after coming off a very tough season. Coming to Montreal and being a part of a system that encourages for players to try new things and to make mistakes. They don't care if you try something and it fails, as long as you are willing to make that mistake and learn from it. That's all that Montreal seems to care about, and you can see it in the young core, with Caulfield and Suzuki, and Slavkovsky's made huge jumps and strides to become the player he is today, and this season he might take another big step. There's so much about Montreal that you have to love, and to come to this environment for Patrik Laine is a huge opportunity for him to find his game again in an environment that, like I said, encourages for players to find themselves as players, if that makes sense. It's just really, I'm mad that this scenario even happened. Let's talk about the play. The play should never have happened. A lot of people say, well, when you try to walk the blue line like that, you might end up getting, hurt. There's, rules that, keep your head up type of thing. That's not true for this play. This is a play that could have happened at any part of the ice. This has nothing to do particularly about him trying to cut through the middle of the ice. The matter of the fact is that Cedric Pare, who is from Montreal, stuck his knee out, and Laine got the brunt of it, and he went down. It's a horrific scenario. It's just, you don't want to see that happen to any player, especially Patrik Laine in this scenario, but just any player shouldn't be happening. And let's talk more about the play here. Referees, you need to make a call. You have to make a penalty here, because this is a textbook knee on knee, penalty. I don't understand how the refs couldn't have made a call here. And when you don't make a call like this in a scenario like this, where a player goes down and you can't call a penalty matter of the fact after a player gets injured. That's, you don't decide it based off of that. Should have been a penalty from the get-go. But when you don't even acknowledge that, you as a referee just screwed up completely, you allow the game to just completely get out of hand. And, well, Arber Xhekaj decided to take this scenario into his own hands, literally, by beating on Cedric Pare, who, listen, the mistakes happen. The game is fast. There's nothing he could have done. There's an interview with Pare after he talks about how he's apologetic. He didn't want the scenario to happen. It wasn't his intention to injure Laine and stuff like that, which I don't disagree with. I don't think anybody who does a knee on knee for the most part is trying to hurt a player. Especially that scenario happens a lot in hockey. Players getting beat one-on-one like that is very, very common. And to see this scenario kind of happen, there is some accountability for Pare, but obviously his intention, you can't tell me that it was, he wanted to injure Laine. No, that's not true. But he does need to understand that it is his fault for this happening, and there is accountability from the referees to manage the game, and it's a really unfortunate scenario for it to happen. There's a lot of argument online about having a player like Pare, who they call like a fourth line AHL player, kind of like a beer leaguer is what they were calling him, be out there against the Canadians, and being out there even in a preseason game, seem to argue that those types of players shouldn't even be allowed to play in a preseason game against top NHL players like that. That argument makes absolutely no sense. The whole point of a preseason is to see if you can manage against NHLers. It's really unfortunate that Laine was in this game. Obviously, the big game Saturday night against the Toronto Maple Leafs, regardless of when the season starts. It's always a big game, big seller for everybody. Obviously, Laine was going to be in this game. He does need to get used to the Montreal system still. He needs to be coached by St. Louis more, so he's going to play more preseason games. And if he were maybe in the Montreal Canadiens system longer, maybe he wouldn't have played this game, because he doesn't need that time to adjust to the new system. But regardless, he was in this game. It's a really freak scenario. An accident is maybe the word to use. I'm not happy about it. I'm very frustrated with the way this whole scenario, went down. How, Laine got injured. It's so unfortunate how Pare didn't decide to fight, even though he should have fought Arber Xhekaj. I don't like how Arber Xhekaj decided to actually get physical in that scenario. He should have just, maybe, okay, you run him over, whatever, you leave it at that. You don't pummel the guy when he's defenseless. It's really, unfortunate. But again, this comes back to the referees. You need to make a call here. You have to manage the game. Just because it's a preseason game doesn't mean, oh, I don't have to do my job today because nothing matters. Like there are people's health and their well-being at risk in these games. People get stupid when they're on the ice, so you have to do your job still, even though nothing matters at the end of the day in terms of standings. Anyways, that's my points I'm trying to make here today. I just want to talk about the Laine situation because it's so frustrating and unfortunate to see it happen. So let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think for Laine in terms of injury? Sometimes we see these injuries look really bad at the moment, but it turns out they're not nearly as bad as other injuries may occur. So let me know how long you think Laine might be out for, and hopefully he has a speedy recovery because he deserves so much better in the NHL. So I'll see you guys soon.